Welcome to the first episode of In Focus, a new monthly show on the Insider Network where each month we put something or someone from the movie world on display and break down the story. The things you already knew, the things you didn't know, all in focus. Since it seems as though Avengers Endgame is on track to break every record ever set, not literally, I thought it best to start with arguably the biggest star of the franchise, Robert Downey Jr. Born in Manhattan, New York in 1965, RDJ was named for his father, Robert Downey Sr., an actor and director in his own right, known mostly for his satirical comedy Putney Swope. In fact, if you've ever seen Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights, you may recognise the name Swope as Don Cheadle's character, an homage to Robert Downey Sr.'s film, and he even gets a cameo as the owner of a recording studio. Full circle for Cheadle, who later found himself cast alongside his son in Iron Man 2 and subsequent MCU films as James Rhodey Rhodes, Tony Stark's best friend. RDJ's complicated relationship with his father was the catalyst for his later drug addiction. His father was also an addict and allowed Downey to smoke marijuana from age 6. Downey once said, "When my dad and I would do drugs together, it was like him trying to express his love for me in the only way he knew how." Unfortunately, drugs were a big part of his life and were his eventual downfall, but we'll get to that later. After appearing in a number of his father's films, Robert Downey Jr. pursued acting as a career. His first role was at the age of 5 playing a sick puppy in Pound, and would keep featuring in small roles until age 10 when he was living in England and studied classical ballet. He then attended the Stage Door Manor Performing Arts Training Centre in New York in his teen years before moving with his father to California after his parents' divorce. 4 short years later, he dropped out of high school and moved back to New York to once again pursue acting. Downey was strongly linked with the Brat Pack, a group of young actors in the 80s who frequently collaborated after starring in Weird Science alongside core member Anthony Michael Hall. He was also roommates with Kiefer Sutherland for a few years, who also found himself associated with the young rising stars. His first lead role was opposite Molly Ringwald in The Pickup Artist in 1987. From here, the only way was up, and he found himself in a role that would sinisterly foreshadow his career in Less Than Zero, a film about a drug-addicted rich boy whose life rapidly spirals out of control. His performance led to wide praise and exposed him to a larger world of big-budget Hollywood movies in the late 80s and early 90s. The most significant was surely the titular role in Chaplin, for which he underwent an extensive transformation and devotion to fully realising the parts, even learning the violin and how to play tennis left-handed. The film was eventually released to great critical success, with many praising Downey's performance. It earned him an Academy Award nomination, though he lost out to Al Pacino in Sense of a Woman. Many, myself included, saw this as more of a Lifetime Achievement Award for Pacino, who hadn't won yet, and thought RDJ was actually the more deserving nominee. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. Despite a number of appearances in films throughout the early 90s off the back of his Chaplin success, Downey found himself on a downward spiral. Between 1996 and 2001, he was arrested numerous times for drug-related offences, including cocaine, heroin and marijuana. He failed to make it through several trips to rehab and explained to a judge in 1999 that it's like I have a shotgun in my mouth and I've got my finger on the trigger and I like the taste of the gunmetal. He also attributed his relapses to being addicted to drugs since the age of 8 because of his father giving them to him. His first arrest in 1996 was for the possession of heroin, cocaine and an unloaded handgun while speeding down the Sunset Boulevard. Then a month later, on parole, he was caught trespassing in a neighbour's home under the influence of a controlled substance and even fell asleep in one of the beds. He received 3 years probation and a judge ordered compulsory drug testing, but not even a whole year had passed before he missed one and therefore had to spend 6 months in the LA County Jail. He missed another drug test in 1999, and despite assembling the same legal team that won the trial of O.J. Simpson, he was sentenced to a 3-year prison term at the California Substance Abuse Treatment Facility and State Prison. After almost a year there, he posted a $5,000 bail and was freed after qualifying for an early release. It was a week after his release that he had secured a role on the hit legal drama comedy Ally McBeal as a love interest for the title character. His acclaimed performance on the show got him an Emmy nomination and a Golden Globe win for Best Supporting Actor in a miniseries or TV film. RDJ later revealed that he thought his performance was overrated and that at this time he was at his lowest point in terms of addictions. Then another opportunity knocked in 2001 when he was set to play the role of Hamlet in a stage production directed by friend Mel Gibson. It wasn't to come to pass, as before his first season of Ally McBeal had ended, Downey was arrested again for the possession of cocaine and Valium. Whilst on parole, he was found barefoot outside of LA with cocaine in his system and was arrested once again. This was the last straw for McBeal producer David E. Kelley, as he ordered last-minute rewrites and reshoots, and Robert Downey Jr. was fired from the show. Due to his subsequent incarceration, the Hamlet production also had to be shut down. He pleaded no contest to the charges and avoided jail time, instead being sent to rehab and was placed on another 3 years of probation. It had been claimed that Downey had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and that this heavily contributed to his struggles with staying sober. However, he claimed that all attempts to diagnose him were skewed due to the fact that the guy I was seeing didn't know I was smoking crack in his bathroom. You can't make a diagnosis until somebody's sober. After his 2001 arrest, he decided that enough was enough and he realised he couldn't keep in this cycle, so he reached out for help and this time put himself through rehab. He was able to get his first job in a film thanks to Mel Gibson, his close friend since they co-starred in Air America, who paid for the insurance bond allowing him to feature in The Singing Detective, directed by another former co-star, Keith Gordon. Thanks to Gibson's investment in Downey, he was able to relaunch his career. Next in line being Gothica, this time with legendary producer Joel Silver stipulating that 40% of Downey's salary be withheld until after production as insurance against any addictive behaviours resurfacing. They didn't, but this wasn't the last time this clause appears in his contracts and became something of a standard for the years to come. Downey and Silver quickly became friends, and it was through Silver that Downey met his future wife, Silver's assistant, Susan Levin. This friendship led to the role that most considered to be the real return for RDJ, Shane Black's directorial debut, the modern noir comedy Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. 2005's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang gave Downey enough exposure to start his climb back to the top, somewhere he was close to reaching over 10 years ago after Chaplin. He released a debut music album, The Futurist, and planned to release his memoirs. However, this deal never came to light, and Downey returned his advance to the publishers without a comment. In 2007, he was cast in David Fincher's thriller Zodiac, based on the true story of the Zodiac Killer in San Francisco. Then came the biggest year to date in Robert Downey Jr.'s career, 2008. He became Iron Man. Despite understandable reservations from Marvel Studios, Jon Favreau insisted that casting Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark would do for Iron Man what Johnny Depp did for Pirates of the Caribbean. He was right. One of the most successful cinematic franchises of all time was launched off the back of Downey's unforgettable performance. But it wouldn't be his last unforgettable performance of the year. He also starred as an insufferable, over-the-top actor, Kirk Lazarus, in the Ben Stiller comedy Tropic Thunder, who, within the context of the film, undergoes surgery to take on the role of an African-American character. This required Downey to wear dark makeup and a wig. Many feared the potential controversy of the role, but the audience response was overwhelmingly positive from people of all backgrounds. His role in Tropic Thunder earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Launching on from his hugely successful 2008, Downey accepted the role of Sherlock Holmes and went on to star in the sequel, as well as reprise the role of Iron Man in the many films within the Marvel Cinematic Universe since then, including The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Infinity War, and most recently, Avengers Endgame. During this time, he founded his own production company with his wife Susan, called Team Downey, with their first film, The Judge, earning critical acclaim. Their next film slated for release is The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle, currently in production, and starring Robert Downey Jr. as the titular character. At present, he is the third highest grossing actor of all time behind Harrison Ford and Samuel L. Jackson, and was the third highest earning actor in 2018 behind George Clooney and Dwayne Johnson. But more importantly, he has been drug-free since July 2003 and has largely credited his wife with helping him overcome his drug and alcohol habits. So there you have it. That was Robert Downey Jr.'s career in focus. If you like this sort of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments below what else you would like to see featured in future episodes. You can check out our weekly movie news roundup show in case you missed it, monthly Oscar winner debates in Dispute, top 10 videos and movie reviews right here on this channel. Or, if you prefer in podcast form, at podcast.insidernetwork.co.uk, iTunes, Spotify and Google Podcasts. Thanks for watching.